Well, how about I say welcome to everybody first.
Yes,
Welcome,
correct. Yes.
welcome to DREIA's meeting of November 18th. We thank you for signing in, and always we appreciate you registering, because that's the only way you can get in. We like to know who's here. We haven't heard from the country club yet. My name is Jim Pamplin. My partner Viju Katungal is online. Our mentoring director Dave Dinkle is online, and Nancy, I'm sure, will come around at some point so we can see her, the better looking half anyway.
Oh, luckily.
So we want to welcome you. If you're new to us, we meet the third Wednesday of every month. In Christmas, we have a holiday party, and of course that's on the Nix today, but we've got something special planned for our December meeting. And I'll come back a little bit later and tell you about many things that will be happening in December that'll be very interesting and informative. So stay hooked with us tonight. We're going to talk money, money, money. We're going to meet three guys and talk about some deals, but mostly we're going to talk about what they do day in and day out, how they interact with the team, that being the title agents, Dave, Nancy, me, and Viju. So stick with us, and then Dave is going to bring it on home with advanced marketing techniques, yes or no. So Viju, we're going to start with you going in with your videos. Okay, Francisco?
All right, let me do that now.
Hello, my name is Danny with DREIAFacts.com. DREIAFacts is a real estate information system where we offer you a diversity of potential deals in pre-foreclosures, for sale with equity, probates, tax delinquency, tired landlords, short sales, bank-owned properties, auctions, repairs for sale, and vacant properties. And last but not least, cash buyers and holders to create your very own buyer's list. DREIAFacts.com, the deal generator.
Viju, are you going to talk?
Oh, properties for sale. I was just sorry. Properties for sale. They are on the list. Go to the website. Contact us at the number there, or email us. Santiago, you want to start us off?
Sure. Hello, everybody. I'm Jim Santiago from Independent Title, Florida's best title company. We are an investor-oriented title company, helping people make the maximum profit on the real estate investments, helping people get through the starting process and the experience process of wholesaling and flipping real estate, from assignments, double closings, utilizing transactional funding and other tools that rehabbers and wholesalers use in order to maximize their value on the real estate transactions. I'm Jim Santiago from Independent Title, where you get that Santiago satisfaction. And if you need any information, I'm going to be putting my contact information in the chat.
Thank you, Jim. Becky.
Thank you, Viju. Hello, everyone. I'm Becky with Real Estate IQ, and we provide off-market leads to help you find your deals. So we have pre-foreclosure, probate, all of those things. And I'm going to put a special offer in the chat where you can start getting the leads for almost nothing right now. Also, I am here visiting from Texas. I'm in Fort Lauderdale right now, and I'd love to meet with anybody tomorrow that might be interested in how you can make money with Real Estate IQ. I'm looking for real estate agents to help partner with for MLS access. And we also have a great VA program where we can hook you up with somebody to help you with your marketing, with cold calling, emailing, managing your lists, whatever it is that you need help with. So as I said, I'm in Fort Lauderdale. I had COVID a month ago, so it's completely safe to meet with me. And anybody that would like to meet in person, I'd love to do that tomorrow. So I'll put my information in the chat, if you're available.
Thank you, Becky. Erica?
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Erica.
Good.
Good. My name is Erica with Creative Title Services. We are a full service title company. We are 100% investor friendly. We do double closing, assignment, flips. We can go ahead and navigate you through your process. We're available 24/7 on the weekends, after hours. Any questions you have, you could always reach us. Our number is 305-476-8733. 305-476-8733.
Erica, can you put it on in the chat also, please?
Absolutely. I'll put that right now.
Thank you. Dave, you want to say a few words before?
Turn your mic. There you go.
Hi, I'm Dave Nickel, and most of you know me, but I'm part of the mentoring program at DREIA, but I also do transactional funding. So if you need same-day double closings, I provide 100% of the cash for the initial A to B leg. The most we've done one in has been $8 million that I participated in. We have one coming up for $1 million shortly. But think whatever size you have to do is what we will help you do and get the money for you if we need to. So I have the most inexpensive rates in the industry besides, and our students who use us actually get a discount on the rates besides that. So that's my story. 954-274-1003 is my number.
Can you put it in the chat, Dave?
Sure.
And it's transactionalfunding.com, right? The website?
No, it's besttransactionalfunding.com.
Can you put that on that one?
Sure.
Thank you. All right, let's get started.
I want to say welcome again to those of you who have just joined us. We really appreciate our business members who help us support this platform, especially REIAFAX.com for producing the event and helping us promote it. So all of our business members can be found at DREIA.com. They're important to us, and they'll be important to you actually as you do business. We love getting wires from Erica and Jim, that's for sure. All right, there's Matthew. Viju, where are we going now?
All right, so we choose 3 guys to talk to us, right? They're the ones who've been, and then, you know, they've been doing real different scenarios, different deals. Jim and I kind of figured out that these are the guys who will be good to educate us during the COVID time. Matthew, congrats, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Today was a good day.
Very good day. Great day.
Yeah, I think with the team, I mean, you did really good. Today was a good day, coming up to a 6-figure number for the month.
Indeed.
We'll talk more about that later on, I mean, down the line. So
sounds great.
Okay, so we get a lot of questions about the mentoring program. I wrote down 3 that we're going to talk to each of these fellows about. We get a lot of different questions, but we've kind of rehearsed with these guys. We want to go through some things that we think will help you get your investing career either started or revitalized, because these guys have kind of been through it all. So I want to introduce Andres Hernandez. Andres, say hello.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Jim. How are you?
Andres has been in the system about a year. He's been in the program about a year, maybe a little less. He's done 2 deals. He's had a few under contract, but he also, at least in the beginning, had a full-time job. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes. I started with a full-time job, and then a transition with the program, spending kind of 50% of my time with the wholesaling activity. I mean, the reason why I joined the program, I think I was very interested in real estate since years. I worked in the past for a company. I was doing commercial real estate in different countries. So I had already this experience and this passion for the real estate. But obviously I miss I'm a realtor myself, but I miss the skills, you know, to wholesale residential real estate. And I had also the project to invest myself in real estate, to rehab a property at some day. And people say you make the money the day you purchase, not the day you sell. So I kind of thought, okay, if I learn to buy at the best price, that's already a good start, a right beginning.
Well, I think part of your learning was trying to figure out what was the best price. So I've got 3 questions that I get asked all the time. So I'm going to ask you the questions. So do all the deals that you put on Viju's list, do they all get sold?
No, and I can only blame myself. No, I take the opportunity to thank all the team from the program, my mentors, Dave, Jim, and Viju, for their. I mean, they have been awesome and super responsive 24/7. Thank you for your patience. Every question I had, particularly at the beginning. But no, I sold like less than 50% of my of the properties I put on the contract. Why? Well, because I mean, they were not at the right price. And there are different reasons. I mean, I remember the first property I put on the contract. It was just a few weeks after I started the program. I was super excited. It was a property in Homestead listed at 190 and I put on the contract for 140. I thought, okay, that's my first deal for sure. Okay, it happens that after the 2 weeks inspection period, it didn't sell because I mean, the house had so many problems that even 140 was too expensive. So that's part of the learning curve that if I would have been invest for myself in this property, I would have lost probably money because 140 was too expensive. If you can't, I mean, I had to redo all the flooring. It was uneven. The roof had to be changed, the AC, the windows. I mean, everything was a big mess. So the spread was not large enough. And then there are other situations through the year that happens to me. I remember, I mean, you have to be always very cautious about the listing price when you purchase a property which is on the MLS. Why? I give you an example. There was a property for 290 and I did my first offer at 215. I thought, okay, that might be a good starting price. And then back and forth with the realtor, with the owner, and we kind of negotiate. And I was ready to close at 119. Okay. And this was after, let's say, 3-4 weeks of negotiation. What happens during these 4 weeks? The listing agent drops the listing price up to 230, from 290 to 230. So even I remember the day I signed the contract, it was 119, and the listing price was 219, and the listing price was 230. So there was just $11,000 spread. I mean, there is no way to wholesale a property, even if the value could have been a good deal. But if the spread is so small, forget about any deal. So because anybody looking at your deal, they go to the MLS, they see, okay, why should I buy from this guy? I mean, I can wait and just go to the listing agent and it would cost less and you know. So this is the other pitfall I had during this year, and you need to learn from this experience. And yes, that's why all my listings sold during this year.
So I think it's a very valuable lesson to people. Just because there's a big discount from list price, the list price can be overinflated. We use the tools like REIA so that to inform ourselves of the actual value. Now, Andres, so you did get a couple under contract, and we sold them successfully. Now, how did you and Viju interact once it was sold? Was there a little shock coming to you there?
No, well, when it's sold, you know, first it's a great news. You get very excited, and then there is always a possibility to kind of squeeze a little bit the price here and there. I mean, that's something that also you can learn to do to get a little bit more margin before the closing. But basically, the work doesn't stop the day you get an offer and you get someone who signs a contract. You can still squeeze something additional after that.
And that's the discussion that we have most all the time when you have a contract signed, right? I always say, let's start working now, right?
Yes.
That's right.
Andreas had learned the skill, and he has a system, don't pack. Now he's an expert in that.
So Andres, you still make offers pretty much every day. What time of the day do you make your offers? What's your routine?
Well, I think it's important to be credible for people that receive your offers. I mean, I'm myself a realtor, And I put myself in the shoes of the guys who receive our offers. Sometimes we are in a situation of multi offers for properties. And these guys also, they need to look serious and professional in front of their clients. I mean, they cannot just, I mean, they have, by law, they have to bring all the offers, but they will make a recommendation on who is serious and who is not. So for me, the best, in my experience, is to send the offers in the morning, not crazy early in the morning, but like at the beginning of the morning, like before 9 if possible, so that the realtors, they get the offers. And then ideally what I try to do always is to send a text message to them to say, hey, whoever, I just sent you an offer for this property, because sometimes they can imagine, okay, it's just a robot who sends offers automatically, or they don't know you and they think it's an automatic process. So you need to get some credibility. And as soon as you get a counter offer or you get a response, obviously you have to follow up on these offers, but also try to get an appointment to see the inside of the property, or really to make a link with this realtor. They need to see you as a real rehabber, as a real investor, and not just someone who uses a system to try to get good deals. So the time is important. If you wake up in the morning at 3 a.m., don't send offers at that time, because they will think that you are crazy or you're not credible. The other thing important, and that was one of my mistakes at the beginning, I was sending too many offers. I think the DREIA fax allows you to send up to 50 offers a day. I was doing that some days. Okay, the problem, and I was proud, that's the worst. The problem is that you need to be able to follow up on these offers. If you don't follow up, I mean, it's a waste of time. So in the end, if you send 50 offers and if you don't get any answer, you have to send an offer or another offer or reminder, or trying to make a phone call after a week, let's say, or 10 days. If you get accumulated 50 offers a day, after 1 month, I mean, it's impossible, or even after a few weeks, it's already impossible to follow up. So my number was between 5 and 10 offers a day, so that I could reasonably, in my timeline, in my schedule, follow up in a professional way. Because otherwise, if you never follow up, I mean, you will get very little result.
Yeah. So Dave, did he follow all the cue cards there?
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't even have to hold them up. I'm proud of all three of you guys. You know, the thing is, you guys stuck to it and you did it. Too many times people just quit as new investors because they run up in the roadblocks and they do things wrong, like making 50 offers a day, and they're overwhelmed and things. It's part of the learning curve. But the matter of fact is, you guys stuck to it and you've done well, and you'll do much better in the future. So I'm proud of all three of you.
Andres is now employing another technique, and he would have done it earlier, but you know, he's gone back and gotten a property that he had under contract again. So you've got to keep following out the properties. Don't let them go. Bring it back in at a lower price. He had a rapport and he brought it back in. We're going to try it again now at a lower price. So Andres, thank you very, very much for your participation tonight. We appreciate you. And we'll be seeing you again, hopefully in another, you've been in a few pictures and email blasts. We'll see you again holding another check. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, all the team.
Be online, so we might come back to you for something else. So
yeah.
Yoandri,
how are you tonight?
Hi, how are you doing, guys?
Good. So, you know, Yoandri's story is a little different. So, Jim.
So Yoandri has been in the program also about a year, but something changed for, and he did everything. He did the offers, he did the daily stuff. But Yoandri, how did you feel about starting this, and what really changed for you to make that first big deal?
Well, when I got started in the program, you know, I did basically what you guys, you know, recommend at the very beginning. So I, you know, was sending my offers every day in the morning. I mean, preferably in the morning. At that time, I used to be only a part-time investor. And I I sent my offer in the morning and I follow up in the evening. I called the listing agents, hey, and follow up. I got 5 properties on the contract. I put on the videos buyer list. And yeah, that's how it started. The first 3 properties that I had on the contract, actually, they didn't sell. I think that I offered too much at the beginning. So I had another one, which was the 4th property. And on that one, I was having a lot of activity. Many people were showing interest in that one. And, but well.
So let's talk about that one for a minute. So during the beginning of COVID-19, you had a sort of a seismic shift in your day. What happened?
Well, when I got started, this COVID-19 got started, I was mostly doing the listing program. So I shift, I was doing a lot of cold calling, a lot of them. But, sometimes people were kind of rude to myself. And as soon as I couldn't go out there, I would say, hey, I won't do this, listing programs anymore. So I go straight to the homeowners, to find out the better deals. And that's what I did. Since I started doing this, I did this shift from listing properties to off-market properties. And I found myself, very confident doing this. And that's how I got actually my first deal who sold on Visual's buyer list.
So just so you all know, we provide our students about 16 templates of for sale properties. But what a lot of people don't focus on is we provide just as many of not for sale properties. So Yoendri developed a system to look for off-market properties. And you call this woman.
Let me jump in real quick. 1 second, Jim. Let me jump in. So Andrew, when he joined, he didn't know nothing about real estate.
Yeah, that's why I totally want you.
Yeah, he know nothing. He has not done a closing. He has nothing. He was fresh. And Dave would say those are the best people to teach, right, Dave?
Yeah, that's what I say. Open minds.
Open mind.
And he was open-minded and he wants to do stuff. He was ready to go and he was working hard at it. So, okay, Jim, I just wanted to say that.
No, that's fine, and that's exactly right. So, Yoendri sort of broke into door knocking just out of actual need, right? You'd emailed and called and written to this lady because she had a house, she wasn't living in it, or at least she was heir to a house. That's right. She was the heir. Is that correct, Yoendri?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. This lady, I found this property on the DREIA, pre-foreclosed property, and I just dropped by and I noticed that the property was vacant. I talked to the neighbors, and they told me, hey, it's been like that for 7 months. So I just did my research. I found the heirs, current residents, and I go straight to the door, knock on the door. I did it like, I don't know, maybe 5, 6 times until I get here, because he wasn't there. She wasn't there the previous time I knocked on the door, and I finally could talk to her, and I offered help. I see that there's a bank trying to foreclose on this house. How can we help you in case you're considering selling? And she said, hey, can you actually help me? Sure. And we started talking, and that was the word I get it on the contract. And so I got a feedback from her because she said that many people were, calling her. Actually, I call her, I text her, I email her. I mail her like 2 times, and it's still no response back. So I knock on the door like I would say like 5 times or 6 times until I could talk to her, and she said, well, since you knock on my door, I will work with you. But she let me know that many people were, calling and testing her, and no one, that's how I doing these door knocking.
before, you got the contract, and then you helped her handle things. We got you in contact with the probate attorney, right? So, once we put them in contact with the probate attorney, we step out because it's not our business. It's between the probate attorney and them. So we step out, but Yoendry still found a way to help.
Yeah, what happened was that, every time she needed to sign something or get something notarized, she needed to drive her and her brother. Her brother has special needs. And she was kind of, she was not feeling comfortable about it. And I listened to her and I talked to you, hey, Jim, this is happening. How can we help this lady, her brother has special needs and she's not, she's very annoying to driving out there to get things signed or notarized. And Jim, you put a right thing together. I mean, you contribute. I mean, you volunteered. Get some documents notarized and signed in a proper way, so she doesn't have to leave the comfort of her house. And that was the way we help her. And also, I personally delivered some documents to the attorney, handling the probate, and to make it as quickly as possible, to make the process short.
Yeah, you actually drove to the attorney's office, right?
To the attorney's place. At first I drove to the attorney's office, but since this COVID-19, people were working from home.
Right.
And I went straight to the attorney's place.
Okay. And then Erica Hernandez of Creative Title, she sent a closer. Is that right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think the team kind of, Erica with her closing and the attorney, they all work together to get it done. And Erica even sent, I think, the closer to the house, so they didn't have to drive to Erica's office. And that's the main thing, right? Finding solutions for the clients.
Find the solution.
That's why you're under
did. How long did it take you to get it under contract after we started marketing it?
I think that house sold in like 2 days.
In like 2 days. So
right, you showed it once and we sold it, right?
I think that's probably right. Yeah. So Yoendry came to the office. We took a picture of him with the big check. And you may remember, guys, any of you who saw our emails, that the check was it was $39,000, nearly $40,000 on his first deal. So Yoendry's got a system down now where he still door knocks. And I'm going to tell you guys this. I don't tell a lot of people this, but I actually went to the house with Yoendry one time to visit the lady. And his ability, and he was dressed in a nice jacket. He was very professional. But, he was disarming, and she was just listening, because everything he said was to help her get this done. And that's the important part. You've got to be empathetic. He understood about the brother that had a special need, and we took care of it. And so that's the important part. You have to be friendly. And that's one thing Yoendry came across to this lady, because she had been contacted by a stack. Dave always tells a story about a stack of letters, and it's true. People write, they don't come in contact. So Yoendry has a skill that he's going to keep using, right, Yoendry?
For sure. I got my ability, to talk to people, and I'm not afraid to door knock. I gotta confess that at the very beginning, it was kind of intimidating, knocking on people's doors and everything. But I found myself that once the more I knock on doors, the more confident I felt about myself. So today I just do it like that, and that's all I do basically.
Very good.
Mostly every day.
So you've taken the plunge. COVID-19 sort of gave you a push out the door, and then when they called you back, you just didn't go back. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. They called me. I mean, remember when I started the program, I was just a part-time investor, and then this COVID-19 happened, and they let me. They did a layoff of all of them, in the hotel, I used to be a bartender in the hotel, so they lay off on most of the workers. And later in June, I believe, they called me in again. I had this deal was about to close, and I needed to be available. If you guys needed something or any kind of document or something, I needed to be available. So I made a decision, hey, if I go back again, I won't be, available to help. So as I told you, I just said, hey, I'm not coming back. I'm gonna get this deal done. And I just became a full-time investor. So I just jumped out of the plane, without a parachute, hoping that the parachute opens right ground, and it hopefully opens.
Well, we're there for you.
It's a big jump, but I mean, he was working at a 5-star hotel, so it's a big jump. But I think it's working out for you, right?
So, Yoendri, I want to thank you for spending time with us, and we're going to look for your picture again. Now, Viju, take it on to Matthew. Matthew, turn your mic on.
Matthew, all right.
Hey, Viju.
So, as I was saying before, congrats again.
Thank you.
Today was the day.
One of 4 days, right, Viju?
Yeah, one of 4 days for the month.
Yep.
I think Matthew has been on a serious role for this month. I mean, yep. I guess let me take you to the beginning, then we'll come back to the deals that we've been doing. I think we just signed another deal today. So Jim, you want to take him through the...
Well, Matthew, you've been in the program for a while, right? In the beginning, it was kind of stop-start, right?
Yes, it was very stop-start for me.
And you're still working full-time, am I right?
I am still working full-time for now.
So tell me, Matthew, what changed?
Close some deals. What?
Yeah.
Go ahead. What was that? I didn't hear.
During the first 3 years, you got things under contract, some sold, some didn't. We sold a few, but it seems to me in Viju, there's been sort of a paradigm shift this year.
Yes, absolutely. There was a paradigm shift for me this year. Even COVID was obviously a disruptive event for all of us. And initially, it was very disruptive for me and a negative event. But I was able to see the positive and see the opportunity that COVID presented me in terms of I work in sales full-time, my full-time job, and as a outside sales rep, so I wasn't in the office a lot. And when COVID happened, I was working from home full-time, and so at that point, I had a lot of extra time I could really take advantage of. So I spent a lot of effort and energy in really developing my time management skills and being able to put in a stable routine for making my offers and following up and having a solid a system. And not only that, but it also gave me the opportunity to really analyze what I was doing. So after I got the stability and the regular system going, I then was analyzing what I was doing and realized essentially that I wasn't pushing through objections. I sort of was accepting. I mainly was working listed properties. Wow. And so when I was talking to realtors, I was not pushing, and subtly challenging the notions that they had, and furthermore developing rapport with them. So, with the stability routine and learning that really helped open up things for me and move things along. And it also is working closer with Jim and Viju and communicating more often and asking more questions, really unlocked things for me.
So pushing back, you said it to me earlier, you said pushing back. It's okay to say that. I mean, you're not rude, you're a professional salesperson.
No,
but you have to develop a sense that they don't know everything. Is that correct, Matthew?
That's exactly correct. For a long time, I thought they knew everything. And
I'll tell you that anytime you ask.
yeah, exactly.
So Matthew works full time, and I got to tell you guys, he has something on the list almost every week. Every week. They don't all sell, but we've been on a ride here, haven't we, Matthew?
Indeed, and I have a few more, as Viju knows, in the pipeline. So
Right.
I think the system has really changed for me. Everything's changed. The program has really been working.
So I think Matthew, I didn't know Matthew had a full-time job because he was always on the ball with showing and stuff like that. So just to there for, but the deals. I mean, he has a 6-figure month this month, I think, right, Matthew? I mean,
yes, yep.
It's awesome. I mean, and they're good deals. The one. I think out of the 4, 3 of them were listed and 1 was off market.
Yes.
The one we closed today was off market, right?
That's correct. The one today was off market. For the longest time, I was focusing on listed properties, mainly because they were, to me, the most accessible. And furthermore, I thought it would be, speaking to realtors was the most challenging for me. And so that was a way to sharpen my sword, so to speak, sharpen my skills, develop them. And so I was really, I stayed focused on that for a long time. Maybe that was a mistake, but long story short, that's become successful. And I've expanded my marketing and use of REIA and started doing some direct marketing to sellers, and that has really opened things up as well.
So the off market, just the one we closed today. I think it was a unique deal. We found our solution. It was a good deal, so we closed on it. But before we closed on it, I think, there was some doubts if she would come to the table, if all the heirs were ready. Just walk us through what we did. I mean, with Jim Santiago's help, I mean, I think we did, it looked easy now that it's done.
Yeah.
Matthew even went and gave a Starbucks card to the seller at one point. I mean, let's just talk about that process.
Sure. So she responded to a second postcard campaign that I sent her. She called me and we spoke over the phone, and it was a good conversation. It became clear that she was very motivated. So we set an appointment the next day. I went and spoke with her and viewed the house and gave her a presentation, and we talked. And as Joandre mentioned, listening is a key skill, and really trying to understand what the seller needs, what they're trying to tell you they need. And they may not come out and say it, but that's where your listening skills come in. And it was clear to me that she just wanted to get out of there. And so time was the most important thing to her. She didn't say why, but I responded and told her what we could do for her. And we signed the contract that day on the first presentation.
Closed fairly quickly, right?
We did. We closed very quickly.
I think there were like 4 or 5 heirs that needed to sign the deeds.
That was the main challenge. It was a probate as well as pre-foreclosure. So, and one of the 2 of the heirs were local. One was in Orlando, and so there was a Jim Santiago really helped us preparing the documents and deeds and getting them out to the sellers, the heirs for their signatures. And that was a little bit complicated in terms of getting the notaries all lined up and getting the documents, but that was done. And then after we had everything together and we were just waiting for the payoff from the bank to go to closing, the seller for about a week stopped responding. I think it was about a week. Seemed like a week. And so, like Bijou said, there was some concern that she wasn't going to proceed. So I just went over, knocked on the door, said hi, wanted to make sure everything was going okay with the move. Brought her a gift card for Starbucks. Let her know that she wasn't actually even there, but her son, spoke to her son and asked him to let her know, that we were or I was just stopping by to make sure everything was going okay with the move. And come to find out, she was having some medical issues, so that's why she wasn't responding. So I learned through that, just keep trying, and it's not necessarily that the seller doesn't want to keep going. Maybe there's medical issues, or there's some other reason they're not able to communicate. So you just got to keep trying.
Well, Matthew, I want to tell you why this was the first for me, because the probate actually, unlike your injuries and many others that we do, the probate had actually already been complete, and she told you that, right?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
She also told you that all the other heirs would give her deeds, right? How many times have I heard that? How many times?
Right.
Oh, they're all going to give it to me.
Right.
And they don't give you jack. But anyway, she was correct. Jim Santiago prepared all the deeds to the other heirs, and they all came back. And that was just so wonderful. So wonderful. I mean, this is a deal that just all came together. And sellers don't intend to be liars. Sometimes they don't understand the process, right? And
Right.
that's why Yoendri took this lady through the whole process. And a lot of times they don't understand who heirs are. They lie and say they're the only heir. But this one was lined up with the stars, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. The seller in this case really understood the process, and so well that I, wasn't sure if I was getting the correct information, because everything seemed to be too perfect.
Yeah,
but in the end, it was absolutely right. She was absolutely right.
So,
I
Bijou,
think the other hurdle.
why did we close before we resold it?
Oh, it was a good deal, and I just initially talking to Matthew about the lady, and I just didn't feel comfortable marketing it, having people going around us, going to the house, showing it, things like that. I think we made a decision on closing.
And I called Dave and he said, no problem, we'll fund it, and we got it going.
Right.
Yeah, I'm seeing anything that's 30,000 or more in profits, almost it's necessary to close. Because otherwise, look, these guys will go around you for 10 or 15 grand and they'll kill for 30 or more. This was a good opportunity to have them go right to the seller and really screw up the deal.
Yeah. And I think they just, these people, even if they don't do it intentionally, it put a really bad, it put a, it make us look bad, make them look bad. It just, it's just one of those scenarios. We have gone through that so many times with smaller deals, but we have been able to overcome it. We have lost a couple of deals doing it that way too, but it was the right decision. And I think with the team, it's just having the right team around you, and getting stuff done. Jim, I think, had a lot of issues on the back end, getting the payoffs, but we got it.
One thing I think that I see and I tell students to be aware of is they've made a presentation and the seller says, let me think about it, which means you haven't done your job. You need to go back and say, when that happens to me, I haven't done my job. Those are all objections that are in your materials. But the reality is, if they say to you, I've had a higher offer, they may have had a higher offer. And the only way to counter that is really to come back and say, when I explain to you, unfortunately, what happens sometimes, some of these guys that are professional wholesalers will make an offer exactly what you want. They will say to you, absolutely. And then the day of the closing or the day before, they're going to come back and say, the numbers don't work, we can't close. And they're going to ask you for a massive discount. As I make this offer to you, that's what we're going to look at when we get to closing. Does that mean you're going to get that price? Well, it depends on after the repairs, estimates and stuff, but just deflect that thing about the higher price with, yes, you're going to get higher offers, but it's only to get it under contract with you. when you get to the closing, I had an incident where I had made a presentation to two sisters who inherited a property, young girls, and they came back to me and said, we decided not to sell. This is years ago. So I said to them, okay. But what they did is an attorney got in touch with them. He was a real estate investor, making more money investing than being an attorney, which is easy to make more money as an investor. So what happened is they called me and they said, we're at the closing table and he offered us $110,000 and now he's offering us 60. And I said to him, well, you guys were going to take care of the taxes that were owed because it's going to sale. They said we didn't have the money. We couldn't borrow it. And they wound up taking 60 when I offered them 100 for the property. It's worth probably about 2 1/4 or so. So it really does happen. And if you're confronted with that, don't get excited about it. Just say, I hear this every once in a while. And, you know, I coined that term, black hat wholesalers, and you can call them that. And what it means is they'll make a high offer. And look, it's a part of the game that a lot of guys play. And I can't say that my guys don't do it either. But you go in there and you make an offer, and presumably it's going to be a fair offer. Everybody agrees to it. And then along comes somebody else that says, you know, the contract's not valid. The offer is stupid. This guy, everybody knows who he is. He never closes. And I'll give you $1,000 more. And the seller's confused, and $1,000 can be a lot of money to some people. So there you go. So don't be afraid of that objection is what I'm saying to you. It's a pretty common objection.
It's more of a confusion.
Yeah, that's an important lesson for Matthew and you, Andrew, because you know you guys have a really good rapport with people. And Dave is absolutely right. Just tell them, look, I will actually close at this because we will. You've got us backing you, and we will close. And whereas they won't be
going to cancel
at the church, so to speak.
If we can't close, look, if we're not going to make money on it, we're not going to close.
Exactly.
But if at least we will cancel. I'll tell you one thing I see. You know, you guys know I fund in 30 states. So I see a lot of closings where I get a call from an agent that says, you know, are you funding this property? And I say, yes, I'm set to fund it. They say, well, it was supposed to close yesterday. And I can't get in touch with the they don't even call themselves investors, whoever they are. And I say, well, have them text me or call me. The problem that they're getting into is they don't even call and say, the numbers don't work for me. I'm going to have to cancel. They just go blank dead. That's not the way. The industry is small, believe it or not. You know, it is a small industry. And when you step on other people's feet, you get stepped on later sometimes. So do the right thing. Call and say, the numbers don't work for me. And I tell everybody, blame it on your funding partner. He's always the bad guy. And they can call me. And I'll say to them, numbers didn't work for us, sorry. But you guys have learned this, you know, becoming engaged with the agent and becoming especially engaged with the sellers is where the biggest money is. Trust is a huge thing in the industry. And a lot of guys go in there and use hypnosis, neurolinguistic programming, and God knows what else, dolls maybe, I don't have any idea, and sometimes they get the sale only because nobody else comes along that the seller didn't like better, and they have to do something. So keep doing what you're doing and don't get discouraged. I put together.
And I think that's what Matthew was saying too. You know, just making yourself be the expert. Jim, I wanted you to jump into this. I don't know if you remember Jim Santiago. He left.
Jim, back Jim.
Jim Santiago.
He's eating pizza.
I wanted him to jump in and just tell us the back end, all the issues he had, but I guess he left. Anyway, but I think the takeaway from it is just keep doing it, right, Matthew?
That's it. Absolutely. Just keep going. And you know, one of the things that I had in my head from the beginning when I started was that I was never going to give up. I always heard Dave say, you know, the difference between a successful and unsuccessful real estate investor is the unsuccessful one quit. So to me, it took me a long time, but to me, that was the answer. Just keep trying, and I would get there.
And it gets easier. The harder you work, the luckier you get, so to speak. But it becomes second nature. You know, this presentation you made to this particular seller, did you have anxiety going in there, not knowing what to expect and stuff? You know, that's natural.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you just have to bone up and do it, not be afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of. I hear this, I'm afraid I'll lose the deal. Well, you don't have a deal. You have to get in there and do what you have to do. And look, our job is simply to help these people transition from whatever problem they have into the rest of their life. We get paid very well for that. We don't steal properties from people and so on. So that's what we do, and you can be proud of it. And I'm glad you guys are making money, but we need to make more money.
That's right. So Andres, Matthew, and Yandri, thank you very much. And this is going to segue into something that I think is really important for the attendees and for you guys too. I asked Dave about this a while back. I knew it was part of the series, and it's time to talk about these guys have simple ways of marketing and they're making money. They're calling agents, they're knocking doors, they're doing mailing. Dave, how much more highfalutin do you need to get? Now, let's segue to your section.
Okay. And I created a little video to go through this whole thing. But again, remember, because I do this funding in 30 states, I come in contact with very large wholesalers, and 98% of them are trying to get their first deal. And I see the guys who are very large wholesalers, and I mentioned in the video that, you know, some spend $100,000 a month. That actually are our students in direct mail, for example, or $100,000 a month in pay-per-clicks. But in the reality of what happens when all the smoke clears at the end of the day, we have a lot of people making a lot more money than those guys do, spending a couple $100,000 a month. And the reason is, as you scale up, you lose the ability to make larger profits, and you have much more grinding overhead. You have to make money every month. Obviously, you want to make money every month, but you guys can settle into a groove where you're going to do 1, 2, or 3 properties every month. And ironically, you'll make probably much more money than a lot of the guys who are spending $30,000 to $50,000 a month in advertising, because it's just a routine for them. And it doesn't work as well as what you guys do. I know it's work, but there are things you can do to, like VA. And I talk about VAs in the video coming up because it's important. And, you know, how many times have anyone done a postcard mailing? 10 million times, right? But the reality is it works, but you have to stick to it. That's one of the things I talk about. So have you guys got any questions for me? You guys did a great job.
Just one question, Dave. There's one question in here that I wanted you guys to kind of answer. What do we do with the properties that don't sell?
No.
Anyone of you want to take it on, Matthew?
Andres can tell it.
Yeah, Andres, what do we do with the properties we don't sell?
Well, I try to follow up always and see what is possible to do after 1 week or 10 days. Again, the relationship with the realtor is important. So the property we put on sale today is, as you said before, the property I tried to wholesale 2 weeks ago, didn't work out. Price was too expensive, was too high. I renegotiated, and now it's again under contract. So I mean, there is potential everywhere, and you have to just follow up on the properties, even if you don't sell them the first time.
So the ones we don't sell, during the inspection time, we give it back. That's,
I think it's interesting that sometimes, you know, we can't sell the property, so we have to give it back. But don't be afraid to go back to the agent and follow up on it, because if he can't sell it to somebody else, you're looking pretty good to him. It's going to be at a lower price, but it doesn't matter. He's only interested in making his commission. The only way that's going to happen is if he can sell it. And you happen to be the buyer. And we've had, this always amazes students, but 3 months later, the agent comes back and says, you know, you made that really stupid low offer. Is it still good? And just like they reduced the price on you, yes, the offer is, we're still interested, but I have to review it with my funding partner. And then what you do is start over again. and they've shot themselves in the foot by reducing it from 290 to 230. They can't go back up again. So now we're in a whole different layer of the game. But that's I call it a game all the time, and that's what it is, and that's how you learn to do it, is fail forward in it.
Right.
So.
Right. I'm going to play.
This is my continuing series of don't let this catastrophe happen to you. In this case, it's don't assume that advanced advertising tactics are what you need. Investors get frustrated when they can't get a consistent source of motivated sellers and abandon their proven methods for bright, shiny objects that may or may not be the best idea. What I see too often is investors bouncing around from BSO to BSO, bright shiny objects, the newest course in town, the absolute can't fail thing, trying to find the perfect place to get deals. What I also see is seasoned investors who have proven prospecting methods run into dry spells, where suddenly their proven advertising stops working. These pros then start looking for BSOs. Just like the newbies, the only difference is the cost of the campaigns. What I'm going to do is review what works and why, and the reasons proven prospecting methods can stall or stop. Let's look at the basics to begin with, from start to finish. Investors have a myriad of methods that have worked for many years and continue to do so, including but not limited to print advertising, driving for dollars, social media ads, internet ads, cold calling, door knocking, purchasing leads, and on and on. These sources of leads are then screened down to a few prospects who expressed an interest in the advertising they received. It's emotionally a lot easier if a prospect calls the investor, as he believes he's in a position to solve the prospect's problems. I hear it all the time, especially from new investors who say, I am dynamite on the phone, I can close people, but I can't do cold calling. They have to call me. That may be the case, but that's an emotional response, and it needs to be overcome. It is emotionally more difficult for many investors, as I said, to simply cold call prospects and make a presentation. The result is investors spend billions of dollars annually on incoming lead generation, which often produced vastly different results. Let's look at what can go wrong and what may work if done correctly. Motivated sellers are where they are because of choices, sometimes not of their own doing, such as sickness, death, or loss of income. Because all property owners face these unexpected issues of life, motivated sellers will always be a renewable resource. There are many times when it seems no deals are available, there are just too many investors, but the deals are being done. The first thing to look at is the consistency and cyclical nature of advertising. This is what is called a sine wave, and the rhythm of nature moves in the sinusoidal path. So the question is, where did you start your advertising? Did you start it up here, right at the top of the down cycle? Or did you start it down here at the bottom of the cycle? Or are you near the top already? What's important here is that the distance between the peaks or the valleys is what's called a frequency. And is this frequency 1 month, 1 year, or it could be 5 years? What difference does that make? Well, it makes a lot of difference if you're advertising. You can be in a down trough for 1 month, 1 year, or as much as 5 years. Typically that doesn't happen. But combined with the sinusoidal nature of anything, including the emotional rhythms of people, are other overlying forces, such as coronavirus, the economy, and personal things that happen to the people who are in a position to lose their home, the ones who you need to provide a solution for. It can be as simple as, I don't want the house anymore, it's a probate, I don't want to be bothered with it. Whatever it is, for a convenience reason, or because it has to be sold because of a time element, that's what you're there for. So let's look at the expected cost of a number of different advertising programs. These are what professional investors are using to get repetitive leads. Any cost I mention here are subjective and the result of many variables, so assume they are generalizations but reasonably accurate. My intent is for the viewer to better understand what to expect before he gets into a financially bad situation. When I talk about don't let this happen to you, what you're facing as an investor is intense competition, but don't let yourself fall in a trap of spending money before you have made money and you're capable of closing the prospect and selling the property. Experience is the best way to save money and remain in the business, and that's why mentoring and coaching programs are essential to your success. There's a lot of interesting information on YouTube, and if you're fixing refrigerators or tire flats and things like that, can be very valuable. But if you notice, and some of you have watched a lot of videos, you'll see either the same repetitive thing, or certainly some people spring off on their own and talk about things that they've done. A lot of cases, those things may never have worked. They're trying to get you to experiment on them. So let's talk about outgoing leads. This is where you stack filters from a data consolidator, or you buy a lead list that was put together for you to use for prospecting. What is stacking filters? That means that instead of just calling listed properties, you want to be able to call listed properties that have issues. For example, pre-foreclosure, pre-tax deed sale, divorce, bankruptcy pending, and a list of other things that you can readily find typically in the public record. These data consolidator are data services that can provide you with literally thousands of prospects. A few of the usual prospecting techniques include cold calling, texting, direct mail, door knocking, and it goes on and on. You can actually go to a company like listsource.com and pick your own parameters to get your leads. Now, they've been in the business for a very long time and typically and historically were the provider of good lists. In recent times, what's happened is the data consolidators have pulled the same information that ListSource has at a much more reasonable price. The estimated cost with ListSource can be as little as $1 to up to $12.50 or more if purchased individually, and usually there's a minimum of 100 to 250 leads. First, you must contact these leads and use your sales skills to get a property under contract. The next phase is to find buyers for your deals, which is another discussion. We're not going to get into it here. You've heard me say this before. The single most important thing ultimately for you as a real estate investor is to have a very big and strong and deep buyers list. Now let's talk about incoming leads. These are the emotionally easier leads to take care of. These are the result of advertising where a prospect calls you, writes you, or contacts you in some way. The typical methods used can be bandit signs, social media, cold calling, direct flyers, direct mail, flyers, door knocking, SMM, or pay-per-click using Google AdWords to mention a few. There's a growing number of qualified lead suppliers where the companies run their own ad campaigns, pay-per-click, social media ads, and other techniques to find what should be motivated sellers and offer these leads for sale. Seemingly all the work to get the prospect to call is done for you. Depending on the area you live in, these leads could be anywhere from $30 to over $650 each. And if you say to yourself, man, that's really a lot of money, it may not be. As you start to get into lead generation, $650 may look cheap for an area like Long Island. I have to say at this point that a naive general assumption is you should be able to close 1 of every 10 of the leads you purchase. Lead list providers will tell you that. However, it's naive. In what I see, only the most professional closers can close that high a ratio. The keys to success in our business are simply effective and sustainable lead costs, high closing rate or conversion by using scripts and practicing a lot, having a large buyers list. I mentioned the importance of this before and I'm going to stress it again. What's a large buyers list? A good buyers list starts at around 350 buyers. These are people who have actually purchased homes before, not new investors who have swapped cards with you at a REIA meeting. These guys are real. You can find them online. They're cash buyers. Now, all lead sources have the following in common. The cost of leads, which is all the advertising or an ad spend as it's cost in the business, divided by the number of leads generated. An ad spend of, say, $10,000 for 10,000 mailers with a 1% response is 10,000 divided by 1% or 100, which is $100 per lead. Now, if you're saying to yourself, Dave, that's $10,000. I'm starting in the business. I don't want to spend $10,000. I understand that. I'm just trying to show you some numbers. We have students who spend $100,000 a month on mailers, so you understand. But I want to show you some dynamics of numbers here. We also have a student who's probably listening to this that does a standard postcard and mailer combination to about 300 to 400 at a time. And you can do 100 mailers at a time. The key here is who are you mailing to? You're not mailing to every house in the block. You're stacking your leads and you're mailing to people that have an issue. I'm going to tell you this story very quickly. When I started as a stockbroker in the business in 1968, a firm called Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith, which is now Merrill Lynch. I came back to the office after training. They threw a white pages on my desk and said, there's all the leads you'll ever need. The idea was cold call them. What they found out very quickly is the guys didn't want to cold call. They wanted to cold call with a reason. So the firm set up, mail all you want. And we literally turned into a post office mailing tons and tons of letters that are obviously approved by the firm to everybody in the white pages. And I decided I didn't want to wait for people to mail and then have to follow up and so on. So I used the same script that I used before, and that was, hi, my name's Dave Dinkle. I sent you a letter on Union Carbide. If you'll notice, it's a 12% yield and selling at 3 times earnings, which it was at the time, believe it or not. And half the time they would say to me, yeah, I got it, and half the time they'd say I didn't get it. So I would go into the rest of my script. But what I found out was I'm tired of doing that. What I'm going to do is just call them and say, hi, my name's Dave Dinkle with Merrill Lynch. Did you get the letter I sent you on Union Carbide? Half of them said yes, half of them said no. Half of them were lying, the other half probably didn't know any better. The point was this, it opened the door for me. So when you have a 1% response, it means you have a 99% non-response. What's wrong with going after the other 99% of the people that didn't call you back, email you back, answer your whatever you sent them? That's up to you, but that's the most effective lead cost there is. Now remember, these are what should be motivated sellers because you've pre-sorted them out through stacked filters. I'm going to assume that you can close 1 out of 20 of these leads. That's optimistic to begin with. What you need to close is 1 in 20 divided into 100 is 5 leads. And in this case, your lead cost would be $10,000 divided by 5 is $2,000 each. Very simply. If you're saying to yourself, oh my God, $2,000 for a lead, if it's a closed sale, we're going to look at what's your profit on it. There are a lot of guys in the business who assign these contracts for $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, and in fact, they're not making any money. They don't realize it until the end of the year or when they realize they don't have any money in their checking account anymore. What's the cost of closed sales? Now remember, this is the income per closed sale or gross profit divided by your advertising cost plus general and administrative expenses. What are G&A expenses? Salaries, rent, all those things that you have when you're in a business entity. If you say to me, Dave, I work out of my bedroom closet, that's fine. But somewhere along the line, you better take out money called a salary or bonus or call it whatever you want. And those have to be figured into your cost of closed sales. Now further assume that you close these leads with a profit of $5,000 per deal, which is small. Okay, I say it's small because you can't make a living doing that. But I hear all the time, I just want to make money, I'll take whatever I can get. And typically the person you're selling it to is an experienced professional wholesaler, and he's going to say, I really didn't want to pay $5,000 over what you paid. I'll make it up on the next one. And he goes out and resells it for $35,000 or $40,000 profit. But that's because you don't have a big enough buyer's list. So I said here, add 20% for G&A expenses, which comes off of your profit. So 5,000 less 1,000 times 5 sales divided by 5 closed sales is a $4,000 profit per closed sale. Is that good or bad? Well, what that comes out to be is on the 5 sales, the money you spent on the mailing in this case, your net profit's about $20,000. This indicates your return on investment, or ROI, is $20,000 from your gross profit, no G&A expenses included, minus the $10,000 you invested, and divided by the $10,000 you invested originally. So it's 10 divided by 10 is 100%. A good return on your investment if it was consistent. But what happens when you get 20 instead of 100 responses and no closed sales? Your choices are to stop or keep going. And it can be a critical choice because if your cash flow is 0 and your funds are limited, you have no choices except to stop. So one way to overcome this is if you have capital put aside for advertising, spend it wisely and slowly. So what suddenly changed? Suddenly you're getting leads and then suddenly you aren't getting leads. There's no way to tell specifically. I mean, obviously with the pandemic, things are happening. But after the pandemic, other things are going to happen. And your advertising is going to work amazingly well. Why? Because there's many more motivated sellers. One question I ask investors or students about their ad campaigns is how long did you do the ad campaign? Oftentimes I get a response, well, I tried it for a day or a week or maybe 2 weeks, but you need to make a commitment to it. Plan on at least 3 months for any campaign before you stop or decide to tweak it. What do I mean by tweaking it? That means to change part of your advertising, your introductory sentence, words in it, adding keywords, whatever it happens to be. But the one thing to remember is tweak one item in the ad at a time. Don't change the whole ad or you're going to be right back where you started from, not knowing what the issue was, if there was one. So let's talk about the fastest way to get qualified leads in your first day. And I see guys advertising online all the time. I put you in #1 Google position. Everybody that goes and Googles these keywords, buy my house, fast cash, so on and so forth, is going to see you. It's true. By far the most popular and fastest results can be had by using Google AdWords, instant traffic to your website. The process is simple and it's as follows. You set up a squeeze page online and open an AdWords account with Google. A squeeze page is simply a lead capture page that guides the viewer into, presumably, filling out an application and telling you his name, address, phone number, and his problem. Because you're paying for position on the top of the page, suspects will see your ad on Google when they Google the keywords that I mentioned before. Cash for my home, buy my house fast, probate problems and issues, solve my pre-foreclosure, upcoming tax deed sales, so on and so forth. The more popular the keywords, such as buy my house cash, the more competition there is, and the more you're going to pay for that click-through to your squeeze page. Now, if your ad text is good enough on the squeeze page, let's assume 100 people click through to your website, again, or the squeeze page, 100 clicks. What hopefully happens next is the viewer fills out an application for you to call him. That's the whole point of paying the money, to get those 100 people to come to your website to fill out the application form. Typically, of the 100 who click through, you can assume that one will fill out your information form, and you can convert, again, maybe 1 in 10 to a closed deal. That means you'll need 1,000 clicks to get 10 applicants to close one deal. Now, I'm sure there's listeners out there who are saying to themselves, he has no idea what he's talking about. I only need 300 clicks to get a deal. Or maybe they're saying to themselves, I have to pay for 2,000 clicks to get one. That is notable, and it's notable because if you're paying for 2,000 clicks, you're wasting an awful lot of money because your conversion, your closing, is not correct. I'll talk about that coming up in a minute. Again, I've mentioned this mysterious number of 1 in 10, which I told you was mystical more than anything else, unless you had a lot of experience in sales. So what was your cost per deal before the G&A expenses for AdWords on Google? Now let's assume your cost per click was only $25 each. So your cost for one closed deal would be, let's say, 500 clicks, not 1,000. 500 times $25 a click, it's $12,500 for one closed deal. If your gross profit on the deal was $10,000, you've lost money. A lot of people lose money on Google AdWords because of the conversion rate. But what if your lead cost had been $50 each, which is not uncommon, especially in high competitive areas for competitive keywords? It would mean that you had a $25,000 closed deal cost. The actual industry averages of cost per closed deal without general and administrative expenses added in range between $4,000 and $8,500. So why is that less than $12,500? Simply because these guys have been doing it for a while. They know how to geo-target specific, almost streets, so they get fewer clicks, but they're higher quality clicks, I'm going to say. Investors who can generate a lead flow from free or low-cost lead sources, as well as directly contacting these leads, can keep your lead costs below $100 per lead. Typically what happens is an investor gets very excited when he starts making money, and his goal is to start scaling. If he does $10,000 a month, not bad. Does $20,000 and $30,000 a month, now he's talking about serious bucks. So what he does is he figures, I can do this a lot better. I can go hire VAs and do some things to do the work for me. What happens when an investor begins to scale his operation with virtual assistants doing the cold calling for him is where the conversion rate drops dramatically. The natural response is to do more lead generation without addressing the next real problem of conversion. Pro investors run ads on Facebook and Craigslist for closers who will be supplied with hot leads, income potential $250,000 a year. These investors find tired salesmen who can do very well, especially with a base commission, a bonus for profit size, and scripts to lead them through to the close and to get the sale. So cold calling has become an industry standard because phone banks of callers can be set up easily with plenty of prospects and little out-of-money costs. I saw something today where a person who had been doing driving for dollars for himself decided to scale up, and he went from himself to 8 drivers. How's that going to work for him? I can tell you he will get deals. It depends on what the drivers are doing. If they're only locating vacant properties, he can get those online through any of the data consolidator services for very little money. If he's looking for other types of properties specifically for driving for dollars that can't be seen as vacant properties, hopefully he'll make larger profits on those. So the number of connected calls that lead to a data collection form using VA cold callers can be anywhere from 1 in 200, which is extraordinarily good, to as high as 1 in 3,000 plus. For investors who just do not want to make cold calls and they're going to do it this way, I suggest what you do is find VAs who speak not English, they speak American, and bilingual if you're going to work in a bilingual market. Why do I say that? Because people are oftentimes irritated by people who speak English from foreign countries, and you don't get as much impact. One of the things I wish investors would do who hire VAs is to actually listen to their employees who are making the calls. I hate to say it's pitiful, but it is in way too many cases. Now, why do they accept that? Because their thought process is the investor who hires the VA is it only costs me $3 an hour, $4 an hour, and they can make 100 dials an hour, whatever the numbers are. The bottom line is he feels, or she feels, that they will get some kind of deal out of it, and there's almost no question that it's possible. And as those VAs get more proficient with the scripts, if they're using them, it will work. It's just a matter of will you run out of money before you get your first deal. One of the worst things you can do is hire a VA who has experience and he does his own thing. Just goes off on tangents. I've heard that also too many times because they don't know all of the answers. They need to stay on script to keep control of whoever the prospect the cold call is going to. Now, I want to assume something, and this is probably pretty accurate. Any lead source brings in motivated and unmotivated sellers, and even a few in between who just aren't motivated yet. But equally, no matter what your list is, because you just can't tell ahead of time. If you pull a list with 5 variables or filters, there's no reason to believe that the next list that has 5 different filters is going to have any better response. List B, is it twice the response because they're twice as motivated? You can do that for yourself by simply picking sale dates, whether they be pre-foreclosure sale dates or tax deed sale dates. You have a time element. Or if you're just doing pre-foreclosure in general with no sale date, they're late on their credit card payments and so on, they're going to be pretty much across the spectrum. Why am I saying that? This means there's always some leads that are bogus, simply curiosity seekers. They're not really interested in selling at any time. They're just testing the market, as they say, or they must sell soon. That's a motivated seller. All the other ones are looky-loos. The key to dealing with these people is now in your hands, in your presentation, and the conversion into closed sales, if they're motivated. Now, what if they're motivated in 2 or 3 weeks? Well, you've heard me say this if you've watched any of my videos. The money's in the follow-up. So if you're starting out and you hate making calls and it looks like a 800-pound gorilla across the table from you when you go to pick up your phone, you say to yourself, I'll call and I'll do it because Dave said it would work, but I'm not going back to that guy or gal. They're just nasty. That's where the money is in the follow-up. Most of the national telemarketers do not do follow-up. They're a one-shot deal. So their cost per lead is much higher than an individual who has the time, or takes the time, I should say, to follow up. When you start out with the process in mind of contacting the seller and making a presentation, you're working backwards. Let me repeat that. When you start out with the process in mind of contacting the seller and making a presentation, you're actually working backwards. Where you need to be is to develop scripts for each lead source and practice each one so they sound as natural as possible. A number of times in many of my videos I've mentioned a person who does a lot of closings himself. Doesn't actually go to the closing, he just gets them under contract, lists them, sells them, so on and so forth. Every day when he goes to work to start himself doing his own cold calling, he practices the same scripts, the same words he's used for years. Why? Because it makes him money doing it. Too often times when students or new investors start out, they get a script, they're kind of excited about it. They get into the script and they just go off the rails, as I call it. They don't stick to the script. The most important part of using a script is sticking to it. This is what will make your conversions and your profits soar. Stick to the script, follow up, build your buyers list. This allows your cost of advertising to remain pretty much constant, while your net profits will rise exponentially. That's pretty obvious, isn't it? But what I see in new investors, they're jumping into using VAs for their cold calling and even lead follow-up in their pursuit of a life on the beach. Good idea, good goal, life on the beach. Rental incomes, checks come in all the time. Nice, but that works until your system collapses. Rental properties, the people have management systems in place. But with us as investors, you have a lot of moving parts, and as you get more and more income oriented only, you have systems that can fail, people that can fail. You have leakage in profits and everything else. And it's ironic where I see boyfriend, girlfriend, spouses, couples, singles making as much money as people doing 100 deals a year. And they're only doing 15 or 20 or 30. Why? Because they make larger profits. They have the ability to work the profit stream. So in summary, don't give up on your advertising if it suddenly stops working for no known reason. When you tweak your ads, only change one item, a test item, at a time to see what may be causing the problem. This is especially true in capture pages, squeeze pages, where you see that you're not getting enough click-throughs. You're not getting their attention. You're not providing what they want to see or hear. Plan on a 3-month commitment to any ad campaign, but know ahead what your cost will be and cut your lead expectations in half when you plan to see if the campaign will be profitable. Run your numbers. Engineer backwards. Understand that in the final analysis, your conversion rate and ability to get price reductions before closing are where the real profits come from. Make money first while you perfect your closing rate before you spend big bucks on ads that you hope will work for you, or you spend big bucks on bright shiny objects that are extremely small niches that once everybody finds out about them, they're no longer viable prospecting methods. So if you can afford it, don't put all your advertising in one format. Have at least 2 different sources going all the time. Again, I'm Dave Dinkle. I wish you limitless success in all that you do.
I've got the boss on here. Where's the boss?
Hi, Nancy.
Hi. Hi,
How are you?
everybody.
Hi, Nancy.
Thanks,
Hi.
Dave.
That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Yes.
Hi, Nan.
Hi.
So Nancy and I, Nancy called me today. We already have a student for January. We'll be doing something in December if you're available, but we already have one for January. So if you're interested in the mentoring program to learn how to work with Nancy and Dave and Viju and me, it's DREIA.com, and you'll find what is the mentor program right on the bottom right. Dave
It's on the chat.
and
It's in the
Viju,
chat.
link out.
Yeah, the link is in the chat.
Oh, I don't know how to do that. So.
All right. So if you guys don't have any, you can type any questions we can answer for you. If not, I think.
Let me tell you what's going to happen in December. And I don't know how to put this in the chat. Vija can do it. But we have a Facebook page, and we'd love for you to like us. But we have a series called DREIA Street Talk. Next month, I've got organized attorney Ryan Schroeder to talk to us about legal entities. We get questions like this all year, so you're going to get the answers. We have the outgoing chair of the Miami Board of Realtors talking to us about his predictions for next year, interest rates, inventory, and all kinds of things like that. And we're going to be doing another tutoring session with Jim Santiago on short sales. So all these will be at our Facebook page. They'll be on our homepage. So look for us in December. Even though we're not having a party this year, we're going to be quite busy.
And I'm actually doing one with, hopefully with John Aaron on what he's doing and the different businesses he's involved in.
You guys got to get past the cocktail hour and film it, dadgummit.
He's still in Colombia.
Yeah. So I need to get, so I've planned, so we'll have that also. So we have a busy month next month with a lot of stuff coming out.
Okay.
And hopefully early next year, we'll be back at the country club.
All right.
Well, thank you guys. Appreciate it, especially
Thank you.
to our
Thank you all
guests
for
on the
attending.
forum. Keep doing well. You deserve it, and it's all there for you. Just keep going. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Say
Thank
goodbye.
you, guys. Keep
Bye,
safe.
everyone.
Take care, guys.